Thank you very much, Honourable Chairperson of the DTIC Committee, and allow me to acknowledge Minister Mantashe, the chairpersons of the other three portfolio committees that are with us this morning, all the honourable members, and of course representatives from the fuel industry that are here to present this morning. Chairperson, I think that as colleagues from other committees have said, it's a pity that in a sense they are joining us today, because one had wanted to take the discussion forward. But I think what is important to say to the members of the other portfolio committees is that when we appeared here before the DTIC and Transport committees on the 14th of October, we had indicated the rationale behind the Section 79, Section 79 decision, and we had also begun a conversation on how we can ensure that our government objectives of empowerment of historically disadvantaged individuals and companies can be achieved through this Section 79 decision. Perhaps it's important to say at the outset that included in the decision that we made was an indication that there needed to be a number of forms of empowerment that would take place, and that this requirement would be built into the leases of those who had been allocated capacity. First of all, we had indicated that it will be necessary to proceed with ownership empowerment with regard to the oil majors. Most of these companies at the moment are at a level 4, and the intention is that during the period of the lease, they would need to move to at least level 1 or level 2. Secondly, there is the question of empowerment at a management level. There is the question of ownership by women, youth, and persons with disability. There's the issue of skills transfer, supplier development, and other broader forms of social development. And all of this will be built into the leases and will be monitored on a regular basis by, we hope, both NERSA and TNPA. We had also indicated that part of this decision requires all parties who receive leases to ensure that uncommitted storage capacity is made transparent and available to third-party operators on a regular basis. At that time, we had suggested that the Central Energy Fund could be the aggregator for that third-party participation. Subsequent to that meeting, it has become clear that it would be appropriate for an independent third-party aggregator to exist. And in that sense, what we are going to do is that we are going to create an opportunity for all those who wish to access excess storage capacity to apply to a general call that will be made by Transnet Ports Authority. And we would then ask them to provide various means of registering and provision of certain documentation. So that would be a way of ensuring that we have a roster of all of those who would want to participate in the excess storage capacity that is available. The question then becomes, how do we deal with the supply side? So what we're saying is that in terms of the leases, all designated terminal operators must disclose and publish uncommitted capacity and provide access to third parties in compliance with the Petroleum Pipelines Act and reserve specific capacity for new market entrants. In terms of the capacity allocation mechanism, operators must submit allocation mechanisms to NERSA and publish them. And they must also now submit to TNPA. So the existing law requires that that operators must publish with NERSA, but we're now going to request that they also submit to TNPA as the overall third-party aggregator. And the mechanism includes criteria for allocating reserve uncommitted capacity, tariff schedule technical requirements, priority rules, a use it or lose it policy, non-discrimination and transparency assurances. Now, what we would want to ensure, because we want to make sure that there is no hoarding of excess capacity, we would want to establish a use it or lose it rule, and TNPA can claim underutilized capacity from a particular third-party user or operator and then allocate it to others who have vessels ready to berth. To prevent discrimination, allocation decisions must be fair and transparent and reserve uncommitted capacity specifically for new market entrants. In terms of third-party access procedures, there needs to be publication of available capacity, and TNPA will maintain a terminal capacity registry and publish monthly bulletins on an online portal. There would need to be formal application by those who are interested, and this requires corporate details, licenses, financial capacity, obviously an evaluation, a queuing system, and we've said on a first-come, first-served transparent rotation if demand exceeds supply, negotiation and approval, agreement to be reviewed by TNPA and NERSA before execution, and commercials to be agreed with the terminal operator. And then there would need to be ongoing monitoring and reporting. Because what we have found in our own view is while the existing regulatory environment does allow for third-party access, particularly by new market entrants, this has not been monitored effectively, and therefore it is not always implemented. There needs to be a dispute resolution and obviously an enforcement process. So at the moment, Chairperson, TNPA is developing a document that would allow for expressions of interest by new market entrants and would allow for this registration and queuing system, but would also make it mandatory on all leaseholders that they have to make excess capacity visible and transparent. So that document is in development, Chair, and this is a development that we have undertaken since the reservations that were raised in our previous meeting. Thank you very much.